Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome back to Planet Marzipan. It's our celebration of the Brave album. 30 years ago, the Brave album was released. I'm Mezza. I'm here with Faye, who's got a mouthful of sausage, so I won't ask her to speak right now.
He's not lying.
And as with the last episode, we have some guests. We have his all the rage, it's Gary Page.
Hello to you. That was a bit cheesy, wasn't it?
You're a radio DJ.
I
It's
know.
supposed to be cheesy.
I know. Yeah, I've just recovered from having Brave as my featured album on Sunday. So yes.
Did it kill your ratings?
Oh no. Do you know what? I think it's with increased our listenership as Marillion, not my radio show, but yeah.
Was Jean-Luc happy that it was overloaded with Marillion?
He was, and a guy from work actually listened to an hour before it's dark the other day because of that album, and I think we've got a new fan, so that's a win.
We also have Scott Evans returning.
Hello.
Hello, and
Mr. Foalle.
I just have to pronounce his name correctly.
Nice little pause there, John, coming
Axel
in.
F.
Axel
F.
F. Thank you for having me back again
Gary
so
Foalle,
quickly.
welcome
Brilliant.
back,
Thank you.
Okay, without further ado, we're going to plough into Brave track by track and discuss the fantastic music on this album.
Well, we'll start with the artwork and the.
No.
It's a Wikipedia entry, Craig.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. You know, it's almost like I don't know what the format of this podcast is, even though I've been in every single.
You've not
one.
heard it before.
I only listen to it when I edit it.
Yeah, I know.
Even then, I just.
So do the listeners. Yeah.
I just.
Look at you! You've
Crazy
turned into one of
listeners.
those. You've turned into one of those musicians. I don't listen to my own music.
Oh, come on, everybody hates the sound of their own voice.
Yeah.
Okay, Wikipedia time then. Brave is the seventh studio album by Marillion, released in 1994. It charted at number 10 in the UK album chart, being the last of the band's albums to reach the top 10 in the UK until Fear reached number 4 in 2016. After trying and failing to reach a wider audience with the more pop-oriented Holidays in Eden, Marillion decided to go back to their roots and make a more progressive-orientated album. Back in the mid-80s, Steve Hogarth heard an appeal on behalf of the police on the local radio broadcast about a teenage girl found wandering alone on the Severn Bridge in England. When she was found, she was either incapable of or decided not to communicate with anyone who questioned her. After a while, the police took the decision to make an appeal on the radio to see if anybody could identify her. Eventually, the girl was reclaimed by her family and taken home. Hogarth made a note of this and kept it aside for many years until Marillion began working on what would later become their Brave album. So the first track on the album is Bridge.
Not a lot you can say about this, though, is there?
Starts with recorded silence.
Yeah, properly recorded silence, not even
properly
imported
recorded
silence.
silence.
Out of the £375,000 that they used to make the album, probably 50 grand is used on the first 30 seconds of silence before they spent another 25 grand on Lapping Water.
Yeah.
It's
Imported from the Maldives.
It's a nice start to the album, though, isn't it?
It
The
is.
lack of water, the foghorn type sound, and then like the very, very strange vocal effects. And yeah,
I don't know how Brothers got the guitar to fart like that.
I can't even answer that. I was about to say, was it Dave Meekin in the toilet with a recorder again?
It was
It's
really interesting.
though.
On
Was
the
it-
making of, it's called Jones the Fog.
How is it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I never knew how that vocal sounded, and then watching the new documentary. Well, I say new.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes through Leslie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Leslie speaker, which people don't know. Probably everyone's seen the documentary, probably, but it's a rotating speaker that makes that kind of wah sound on a Hammond organ.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah,
it's like we had one in the room there, Gary.
Yeah, well, I like to. Just plug your Hammonds through me.
Which leads us into Living with the Big Lie.
It's lovely. It's those guitar harmonics that started off. You're onto something good there. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and lyric as well.
It builds really nicely. That song does. Yeah, right through to the end, and like the end of it is really good. How it sort of starts to sort of break down and then leads into Runaway. Yeah, yeah, it's always good as a standalone song. I wouldn't deem it as classic, but as part of the first part of the album, it's ace and essential.
Yeah, if you listen to it, this isn't a criticism. It's quite unmelodic. The actual lyric, the singing, the vocal melody is not that melodic. I don't find, but I remember listening to it as an 18-year-old, and it's the first song where I'd heard H swear, and I was like, "Whoa!"
How naughty!
Yeah. But
it's a good track, and also I'm going to quickly get the flag up the flagpole again for people who say that Marillion aren't a political band. This is a shaded political song about the world and how things are and how things don't change. And 30 years, still relevant. You're living with the big lie. You're living with media manipulation, especially at the minute. I'm not going to go all on a political rant, but you know what it is, and you know how it is, and it is what it is.
It makes more sense as listening to it now as a 48-year-old than it did as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Just about how living a life and how you're powerless. And that's what I got for listening to it the other day. I was like, it's just that powerless of everything else going on around you, and you can't do anything about it. You could say you could change the world, but I'm not sure you can.
I think this song of possibly all of them is more valid now than it was 30 years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
It's how something like White Russian circulates around, and the world is heading in that direction again. And these, between Fish and H, they know what's going on.
I think we think the same. We're just not as good as expressing it so nicely,
And production-wise, well, certainly original production, really, really good. And one of those songs that benefits so much from a headphone listen because there's so much going on in that song. And like on the original recording and the 98 reissue, it's still there. But like, there's even like Mark Calley's old synth just on the way out starts a really nice solo. And the fact the fading it off is just like, it's such an interesting thing to do. And it's, it's got
a bit of a live sound to it, hasn't it? It's quite a lot of space, but still sounds quite live.
The drum. I mean, the drums are recorded where we know they were recorded, and I don't think Ian's drums would sound. I don't think they've sounded as good since. Really, they just sound. There's something to them. There's a meat to them that they've not had since. I don't think.
And the breakdown in the middle of the song is just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. The one that's got the subway train sort of in the back, the coin clattering, and but like that whole part, that set of chords there are just wow. So I love that song for that reason, and then it brings it back up with punch again. So very good.
Which leads us into Runaway,
which I was like feels like the first proper song on the album, and it's a really, really good song, I think, as well. Always been one of my favourites from the first time I heard it. And my Runaway story, I've got a story about Runaway, is that when we won the quiz in Holland against the band on stage.
Quiz, did we? We did,
we did, yeah. And they did a backwards music quiz, and I got 5 out of 5 on stage. But that song, I called it "Runaway Girl," and Mark Halley got really pissy about it.
Is that the year of the photo where he's giving us the evil eye?
I think it was, yes, yeah. We're up on stage. It was like, shit. But anyway, great song. Yeah, fantastic.
Making friends with keyboard players again. The Helmer lyric, isn't it? Runaway.
Yeah, it was one of the original songs that were given for the album, which was one of the linchpins that started it all off. Yeah,
which kind of blows my theory out the water about them being linked to the parties.
But H did manipulate the lyrics a lot.
Yeah.
As he does with the Helmer lyrics. So yeah.
But they do work well together.
Some cracking guitar solos on this album, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Not played live enough, well, I don't think, anyway.
Well, they did it at PZ, didn't they?
Once.
Well, no, they did it.
Yeah.
Last PZ, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like considering the album came out 30 years ago, I think over those 30 years, it's when they weren't playing Brave, they could. I'd love to have heard it more often.
Yeah, as a standalone. Yeah.
It's something that would probably fit into a set easier than the next songs.
Yeah.
That we have Mad and Opium Den, but
which, funny enough, they've played a lot.
A lot.
So takes us into then Goodbye to All That, Wave, Mad, Opium Den, Slide, Standing in the Swing.
I think this suite, if you want to call it, is possibly the most un-Marillion sounding part of the album on initial listen. So when, you could appreciate the Living with a Big Lie, Runaway, traditional songs and all the rest of it, this hits you like a ton of bricks because it's something completely different to what they've ever done before.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, I know it's not a jam, but it's derived from a jam. But the bravery, sorry for the pun, to actually leave that section in there as a kind of jammy kind of bit, it's just, I think it's very brave. Sorry.
Twice he's done it.
Something just on listening to it quite a bit recently, Ian Mosley on this section, superb.
Oh, he's outstanding.
Yeah, superb. Yeah. And he said it himself when you interviewed him when you were speaking to Lucy. He brought it up actually, which I've never really probably heard him talk about before. But he's just outstanding on there.
Yeah, I mean,
they played it live a lot. Is because they like it as a piece of music, don't they? I think they enjoy playing.
I can imagine something like Wave is a really good song to play as a band and see the reaction of the crowd, because it's great being in the crowd when they're doing that and hearing it build up from the silence to like this huge thing. And of course, like the first that is, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from the sort of 94 shows, that is the first time then that H goes into like more theatrics than we would have seen before. So he was already wearing the sort of almost like vicar type gown, isn't he? But when he walks on bootleg, that's the bit when he starts tying his hair up, isn't it? When he's singing, she had the face of the Statue of Liberty and all of that, and it's just like, what the hell is this?
He's preparing for Hard as Love, isn't he? But
but his face. And I think it's even up, like when they play it live now, his face and that is always so intense. Like, it always looks like he means every single word and he's really angry.
What we love about him, isn't it? We've all seen him do this track lots of times, but he really does just throw himself into it. And
I mean, that bit when he was putting the lipstick on and he's looking at as if he's looking in the mirror and he just looks crazed, doesn't he? Proper crazed, brilliant, amazing.
It kind of makes me feel sad that they didn't film it again. We mentioned in the last podcast that it's not that it's the youthfulness, I think, as well. It's like we forget, like he was like early 30s.
About it in a minute, but that's the next best thing. I watched
it. Yeah. But having that kind of youthful Marillion playing that album in full would have been absolutely mind-blowing on film.
Yeah.
And the lyrics...
anything else you want to say about the suite of songs there?
Just how good the lyrics are, particularly Mad. it's just so good. Just like tell me I'm mad, you're a fine one to decide. Always, it's just such a good lyric. Yeah, brilliant.
So it takes us into Hard as Love.
The proper rocker.
Another Helmer lyric, but yeah.
And it was never a great, of all the songs on the album, for some strange reason, when the album first came out, it wasn't a song that I really liked that much, but over the years it's become one of my favourites on the album. I think it's possibly the version on Less Is More helped that as well, but I've got a real more appreciation of that song as I've got older.
Yeah,
although the middle section, Craig.
Okay. Yeah, is that the bit where it breaks down?
Yeah.
Again, just those breakdowns they do and the choice of chords they use there are just like amazing. And then of course it was when they played it live, that was the bit where it's got the big kind of operatic ending, with the band doing the R's and whatever as Hogarth's dragged off stage, and it's just like I remember, and it's probably why it sticks out as my favourite gig ever, but I remember thinking at the time, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
It was unlike anything we'd seen them do before.
Yes. Yeah. So. It was incredible. It was just like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Yeah.
You were watching it in Liverpool, so did you think two people had just jumped on stage? And
that's what. That was my initial thought. I thought he'd said something about things. Yeah, and
you go out the back and the lead singer's up there on bricks. They've nicked his wheels.
You've just lost your entire Merseyside contingent here.
Apologies to my friends in Liverpool. That was a joke.
It was.
Well, I haven't upset the Polish for a while. Well, Mark Kennedy's now, so we'll do that later.
But it's going back to that. It was the menace of it. I know it was staged menace, but it's like while we watch horror films, we like to be scared, and it was as I go back to being 18, it was like, what the hell am I watching? And
just as he's trying to grab for the microphone, pulled off. It's just like, what's this? Yeah, it's amazing.
Is it on the Corona Diaries where he said about
his shoulder,
bad shoulder for the entire tour?
He mentions it on the documentary as well, I think.
Yeah. And he only realised when they did it again recently that it was because he was getting dragged off stage every night.
I'll actually know what I have to say here, especially for Mikey, because he's been complaining that we haven't had enough smut in. So we'll say that H got pulled off on stage. There, we'll just leave that there for Mikey. There we go.
Craig, Wikipedia entry here. Craigipedia entry.
Oh, Craigipedia, come on.
Was this possibly the first time H was playing electric guitar?
Correct.
Yeah. Also, the fact of the matter is there's been a petition since that we don't let him plug it in.
But yes,
was that his first pig Telecaster? Was it?
It was, yeah. So by that point, he got his hair in his pigtails and in his white shirt, and he walked on with the Telecaster, and it was like, what?
Red, wasn't it? On this tour, it wasn't the pink one.
Was it not?
I don't think so. I think it was the red one.
Oh, Mezzapedia.
Again, I stand to be corrected.
You are correct.
I don't know if it's that one or not. That's just in rehearsal, I think. But I'm holding up a picture for your listeners.
I think it's studio. Margos. Yeah.
It does.
£10 a week.
Got it on
the catalogue.
Yeah, got it on tick.
His mum got it for him at the catalogue.
But I remember there's a picture of him at Marowak with a guitar, thinking, why the hell is he holding a guitar? It's like, it's the first time I'd seen him holding a guitar, which is strange.
Yeah.
Leads us into The Hollow Man.
Oh, I love this song.
Yeah, beautiful song.
And again, it's similar to Living with a Big Lie. It's a very relevant song about the world that we're living in today and certain men's
agendas.
Yes, it's got very much Donald Trumps of the world, etc., etc.
Yeah,
brackets keep politics out.
Yeah,
and it had. I seem to remember from '94 they had the candles on the piano, lit up.
I kind of half understand and half don't understand why they chose it as a single. It's not greatly radio friendly, but it's a good song.
Well, it's a self-contained song as well. You can extract it from the album
So Gary's, is it one of your favourites or
Gary Page?
Either of you?
Well, the Page first.
No. It's. I mean, it sounds like I assume H wrote it sat down at piano.
Yeah,
Lyrics are beautiful, especially the last few lines. Obviously, we know what they are about rattling. But yeah, just beautiful lyrics. I write a few songs myself. I wouldn't say I was like that good, but he.
Yes, yeah. Shut up.
H is he writes from such a like empathetic, and also like he writes about females so well. He kind of, I don't know. I guess that's why people love him, because he is such a empathetic songwriter when he writes lyrics, and just an amazing songwriter.
See, I've got a slightly different take on Hollow Man. I think you could relate the lyrics to men's mental health.
Yes,
totally.
Yeah. Works on different levels.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was intentional, but it definitely works. Yeah.
Mr. Foalle?
No, lovely song. It's fantastic. Not a lot to say on it. It's just, and that little guitar solo is beautiful.
Yeah,
with the chorus guitar, which he went on to use a lot more later on When I Meet God and songs like that. He's played it a bit more that sound, but it's lovely on there.
There's also that amazing backwards bit at the end. I don't know if it's a synth or it's kind of strange as the song's finishing. It's a strange backwards effect, which I love. Yeah, I look forward to that bit.
Okay. Should we go on to Alone Again in the Lap of Luxury?
Yeah. This was always the song that I least enjoyed on the album. For a while, I loved it at the beginning, then got a bit bored of it. And I seem to remember it was one of the songs they kept going back to as well when they were playing live. And then I've kind of grown to love it again. And it was, again, harking back to interviews from the past, but this was a single where they started to get really disillusioned with EMI as well, wasn't it? Because I think then they go away on tour in Europe, released it, and they came back and just it hadn't done anything at all. And
it was like the mid-50s, wasn't it?
They certainly were chucking them out at 99p.
Well, we all bought 3 each,
Yeah, the picture disc as well. Got that downstairs.
But realistically, it's not a single, is it?
I mean, come on, the subject matter. It's not for Top of the Pops, is it?
I think it's quite commercial.
Yeah, I do.
I agree with Gary, but you're right, Scott. It is the dark lyrically, isn't it?
Musically, it's not that heavy until you get to the end section. It's fairly commercially sounding, like riffs and stuff on it. But lyrically, it's as dark as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose as a Marillion song, it's single-ish. But given what was being released at the time, I mean, it was mistreated by EMI, but it can't have been a massive shock, surely, that it wasn't like a massive successful single for him.
Well, I mean, we'll probably discuss this more down the line when we do charting the single for the singles on it. But there was a little bit of problem with the EMI marketing department, because when they advertised Brave in Kerrang, there were some adverts and they had the quotation marks of lie down and die, Pink Floyd kind of thing, which was just months before the Division Bell came out. So it's like, you don't diss your biggest band by one of your mid-range bands. And I think as well as that they didn't know how to market it, because they thought Marillion were a certain type of band, and they didn't think, well, we can look to a different audience with this song or with this single.
Yeah.
They didn't really look at the things; they just were carrying on regardless.
I don't think it's particularly like the single edit. I don't like, and what they should have done is basically, in my opinion, basically had the whole song, but just record the end, do a different ending, just so it sort of finishes.
They did the Great Escape King,
yeah. Just so, because the single edit just fades out on a guitar solo, doesn't it? It's like, what great single ever does that?
John, what was the seeing as you got it in your hand? What were the B-sides?
The B-sides,
live stuff.
The live stuff on that one. So you've got disc, well, I don't know if it's disc 1 or 2.
And like River and
This had
stuff.
basically the encores. So you had Cover My Eyes, Slange, and Uninvited Guest, and then the other disc had River, Bridge, and Living with a Big Lie live.
I remember when it came out, genuinely being excited that those two songs were live and we could hear them recorded.
It was a quick turnaround because was it the April release, and it must have been recorded from the February tour.
Yeah.
They're from the Forum on the 5th of March.
Oh, I wonder if I need
You're
to.
on it, Gary. You're on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can hear you screaming.
Yeah. 18-year-old me.
I love you, H.
Yeah. I was probably, at the time, I was probably just looking at Ian, just mesmerised by his drumming.
That brings us to the next track, which I think divides the fans, if I recall properly. Paper Lies.
It's a clever lyric, and you can say that it doesn't fit with the album, but we've lived with it for 30 years. It's there. It's. I don't mind the song. I think it's entertaining enough, and I'd say lyrically it's really clever. Let's shoehorn every single newspaper in the UK into it at some point.
I think every time they play it live, I always really enjoy it. Yeah, it's a well structured song.
It was a bit light, really.
As well. Sorry, just to take the needle back a little bit, but you've got. I know it's technically part of the previous song, but
Now Wash Your Hands.
Now Wash Your Hands. I always thought it was a nice little clever bit to the as a sort of join, and again, I know it's only a few lines and stuff, but still clever and still dead relevant.
It's a good song, and I like the splash at the end of going off the yacht.
Yeah. Craig, I think if it wasn't a concept album, if this was just a song on an album, it may slip into the bollocks category for me.
Ooh,
from time to time, but within the album, it needs a little shot in the arm.
I think that's what I think. Didn't they say that in the
live show? It's good.
But didn't they say in the documentary that's one of the reasons why they kept it on, even though it didn't fit as well? But they needed something with a bit more up tempo before you get into the next track.
And it's not in the film, is it?
No, they've taken a few bits out of the film because with was it like Wave and Mad aren't in the film, and the Paper Lies isn't in, and Made Again isn't in.
Yeah.
Allegedly for budgetary reasons, but no, because it's miserable.
But yeah, Paper Lies, good.
Gary?
Got a thumbs up now. It's a thumbs up now.
Yeah, no, as other Gary said, it is like, it was a bit of, I say light relief. It was a bit of light relief. H puts his spangly jacket on and prances around like we love him doing. I have no problem with that song. Funny enough, strangely enough, I met someone who I work with whose dad was ripped off by Robert Maxwell, and I was telling her about the song. Poor fellow.
But like we're saying it with Living with the Big Lie and with Hollow Man, this song is still relevant. Media manipulation, the newspapers can create whatever story they want, they can cover whatever they want. I mean, yes, the readership isn't there like it used to be in the millions, but they still control the narrative. They still manipulate both political parties, all the political parties, and especially in America and around the world. The press and the Murdochs of the world have so much power that they pick presidents, they pick prime ministers, they pick your government, and they tell so many people what to think who don't even realise that they're being told what to think.
Yeah.
And 30 years ago it was the case. 30 years later, it's still the same, and it's still the same with media, and still, it's all still relevant.
Yeah,
John, I'm a bit confused because it's normally Craig who brings the tone down. So what's the balance of this show now?
It's shifted, hasn't it? I'm doing the dad jokes, and he's just getting depressive.
It's all right. It's all right. I managed when we did Charting the Single, and he didn't even notice to get some dick jokes in there.
Back on track. I'm going to tell you what I think of this song before you all have a go.
Oh, he's going to say bollocks.
Title track for me is the best track on the entire album. I think H's performance is absolutely stunning. I will bore the listeners shortly with the surround mix of the new Stephen Wilson mix, but I think Brave, the track itself, is just perfect for me.
Yeah, I think I agree. And every time they play it, it's just chills. Yeah, because again, it's another song that he sings so brilliantly. The lyrics are great, and as a bass player in previous lives as well, the bass line all the way through the middle instrumental section is really, really good. It's very repetitive, but doesn't make it not good. It's so I've always enjoyed that, but it's a brilliant song.
Yeah, I feel a bit of an idiot. After 25 years, I didn't realise that the middle section is the evolution of a girl. So the baby crying and obviously the band's kids and different voices. But until I watched the documentary, I just passed me by that bit. But listening to it now, it's just genius. That kind of that starts with the baby and ends with the old lady from Parr Street saying, "What a brave, brave girl."
I think it needs Paper Lies before it for the contrast. I think that really sets it up nicely.
Yeah.
Game with Scott there on that bass. Wasn't something I paid massive attention to, but I was listening to the 5.1 mix, John. That's when the bass kicks in and the song starts building up after the intro. Then it's kind of jam territory. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think you have to just say that, all the lyrics are brilliant, but the closing lyrics, which then take you to the next song, so the see her sadness in your face, she's inside you and she's crying. It's just like, and then it goes into Great Escape, which is just
Brave is a cracking tune, and like I mentioned earlier on, it'd been seeing H sing that in Newcastle City Hall is still of all the 150 plus times I've seen the band now, one of the top H moments of he just nailed it. And 30 years later, I can still see it. And top tune.
Big shout out as well to your good friend Ian on drums. As an 18-year-old, I was a drummer then, more so than now. But I just watched him during that song when I saw it live, and he was doing like the brushes stuff, and it was just like mesmerising.
Yeah, but Gary, he hasn't played a hat stand and he hasn't played baggage, So
for anyone that's new to this focus, I played hat stand and a suitcase for my friend David Ford when he played live. Funny enough, at Sheffield City Hall, but the little room. So I've played at Sheffield City Hall.
Oh, well, you played at the Sage, and
I know,
did you do the hat stand at the Coco? I can't remember. No, don't think you did.
Might have done, but it's.
So you've played decent venues. So
the hat stand's done its thing.
Greg, what do you think of Brave? Are you the title track?
I love it.
Okay, that's that then.
Yeah, but the next track,
The Great Escape.
A controversial opinion, but I have always preferred the Spiral mix.
Yeah.
Oh, Get Out.
Yeah, for me, that would always be the preference of how the album runs, because Spiral mix, and because the bit that's extra for the Spiral mix, I think, is really haunting and lovely. And
The High Cloud 9, Heaven Number 7, all of that. Yeah.
I agree with you partly, but I also think that just it's probably one of my favourite Marillion moments is Falling from the Moon. It's just even thinking about it's making me feel a bit emotional. It is. It's just what a way to finish that song. Real human beings came up with that. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think, Scott, I kind of agree. Like Gary, I kind of agree with you. But do we like the Spiral remake because we hear the album version so much? It's just nice to have a slightly different ending.
No, for me, I've always preferred darkness in music anyway. Yeah, whatever, listen to with Radiohead, Smiths, and like early Marillion stuff. So I've always liked that, and like that ending is dark. And I know what Gary means about Falling from the Moon. It's always great when that bit comes up. But like, if you ask me about the previous sections, like the Last of You section, to me that is just Marillion at their absolute best. And so I think from going to the Last of You into the Spiral version, I think is a nicer, for me, darker ending. And Just misses out Made Again. And I've got notes against Made Again, but that's how I like to end the album.
Get out now. You're dead inside. Leave the podcast. No, wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, Mr. Foalle, what's your opinion in The Great Escape?
Well, I know it's possibly the most famous track as probably the amount of times I've played it live compared to everything else.
That Neverland.
But for me, it probably is the best pair of tracks on the record, really. It's like so uplifting, falling from the moon. And I know I keep coming back to Rothers, but that was like my inspiration when I was a kid, and that, that solo is just immense. And it's kind of seems jolly and major and kind of uplifting.
Yeah. It's for probably like the last 30 years, it has been my favourite Marillion song. Unashamedly, if I was nailed down and somebody say what your favourite Marillion song is, it would be this. There's a couple of others that are close to it. Yeah.
Still now.
Yeah. It's my go-to song of it is what Marillion is. The three different sections of it make up what makes the band so great. They're different kind of styles, and Rothers like solo on Falling for the Moon, and the whole crescendo of it still gets the hairs on the back of your neck, no matter how many times you hear it, because in the fan base, it's a very, very important song, and it has been since the album came out.
I've never fallen out of love with that song.
No,
and I know we mentioned Neverland. I've fallen a little bit out of love with Neverland at the moment, which it'll come back. But I've never not want to hear Great Escape live. It's just it's just immense.
Yeah, I mean, I find that
the orchestral version the other day. That's quite interesting. Is a bit of a contrast.
I know Made Again's on here coming up, but obviously this is a bookend to how the album starts. Lyrically and musically, the theme comes back again, which is a great way to do it. Yeah, then there's Made Again.
I think it's probably one of my favourite lyrics as well, and certainly one of my favourite lines. The shower you with flowers when they bury you. Just the images that throws out and stuff. So always a great song lyrically as well.
Come on, John, what do you think?
I think it has. When the album came out, I really loved it. I do, like Scott said, I quite like the Spiral remake at the minute, but it's just because I've heard the album version so much. And just jumping into my favourite slot temporarily, I've got the 2013 repressing of the album with the double groove. I'm doing that with my fingers because
you do what? You do what with your slot of the double groove?
It's never I've never ever been able to play the Spiral remake on side 4. I don't know if I've got a faulty copy or I've just bad luck. It's never ever played the Spiral remake.
Oh yes, turntables just got quality control.
Maybe so.
Maybe it's just got a happy turntable that just
But I know what you mean about the dark ending. I think it's a nice alternative ending, but I'm jumping ahead now into Made Again. I think the lyric for Made Again is just exquisite. It's one of H's best lyrics.
And considering that Made Again is, it's almost tacked on because it wasn't originally there. They just needed an extra song to lighten the end. And by God, it's good. I think it holds together really well as a song on its own.
Yeah. And
to end the last, 70 minutes of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, for me personally, it has to end on Made Again, but I know we're all different. But
no, I'm with you on it.
For me, it has to end like that. It's just maybe it's the hopefulness of how life should be, and after all that, as you say, Craig, after all that misery and darkness and abuse and kind of shit that's happened, that girl to have that at the end is perfect for me.
To paraphrase a bit, I'm thinking it's hope for the future.
Yeah.
I prefer the darkness and the misery.
Yeah, that's totally fine as well.
That's why you're a Depeche Mode fan.
Yeah, but funny enough, with
Maybe-
that song, I'm because I think the first half of that song is absolutely beautiful. I think the guitar, the choice of chords, the words from Steve Earle are brilliant. When it goes all a little bit,
Rinky dinky.
Around the campfire kind of, I lose a little bit of interest. I'm never keen on that bit, and every time I've seen it live, I always lose a little bit of interest at that point. And considering the length of the album, to say that bit just bores me a little bit. Just it's not really anything, but I always enjoy the first beginning of the film.
Just switch it off. Just switch it off at that point, Scott. Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
Gary F., what do you think of Made Again?
No, I like it, but I was going to bring it up later, speaking about the mixing and stuff. But like Scott said, I think I prefer it just stripped back a bit. There's a bit much going on in the second half, like instrumentation and arrangement. It's good. I like the strumming guitars, and that's where it should go. But it's just quite bombastic at times when maybe it doesn't need as much.
Craig?
I like it as it is. I think it's an uplifting song, and I don't mind that it goes all rinky dinky at the end. It puts a smile on your face at the end, saying that everything's going to be all right.
Rinky dinky.
Rinky dinky.
It was nice at New Zealand when everyone got with the flags and stuff. I kind of thought that was a nice moment, and that was the time to do it. They could have kept all those people off stage by playing the Spiral version. That's my thoughts.
No.
But they did.
Rick Kessler recommend picking it up for the USA. Be devastated if they took the Spiral.
But they did do the Spiral version in
singles night
in 2015 in the singles night. Yeah.
So, is there a point in playing? Well, I think Gary's intonated that one of these tracks may be bollocks for him. But does anybody, Gary? Which track was that?
No, I think from time to time I was like saying
Well,
Paper Lies wasn't my favourite in the repertoire, but the whole thing's genius, mate, isn't it?
Okay, no, I mean you can
Start to finish, genius.
Start to finish, genius. Yeah.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Start to Finish, genius. Always has been my favourite album. Probably always will.
Gary P.
Absolute genius. From start to finish.
Yeah,
all 2 weeks of it.
Yeah, I'm similar to Scott though. I mean, if I was pressed, depending on the day, there's a battle between Brave and Afraid of Sunlight to be my all-time favourite, and sometimes between Brave, Afraid of Sunlight and Marbles. It just depends. But Brave sometimes I can listen to Afraid of Sunlight more than I can listen to Brave. But I think I've got possibly a bigger love for Brave. And I mean, I know there's some people got different opinions of it, and I mean, I'll go complete fanboy with Brave, and I think some people even say that it's not necessarily, if you break the individual parts down, it's not as good. It only works so well when it's all together. But I think there's some of the songs on there which are some of the best things I've ever done.
Do you think it's one of those? So you've got to be in the right mood and go.
Yes, you've got to be. You can't listen to it every week. It's something that you do need to take a break from a bit.
Which makes Marbles and Afraid of Sunlight
more accessible.
I would go to more, yeah.
Yeah.
But when the mood's right and you've got the time, this is up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, I'd be the opposite to that. So there was a time when I didn't go a week without listening to it, and I remember going to Spain for 2 weeks and I listened to it every single day by the pool, which like the stark contrast of lying next to the pool. And have a fun time whilst I'm listening to
And you didn't throw yourself in the pool. That's strange.
But I don't think
he was there with pigtails and all the makeup on top of the diving board.
To me,
the pool is not a high place.
I don't think I've met a Marillion fan who doesn't like it. I don't know if you guys.
There are some online, that just don't get it.
People online are bollocks, aren't they?
When you're 18, you're supposed to be like kind of, I don't know, going out and all this stuff. But when I was 18, I was listening to Brave, The Holy Bible by the Manic Street Preachers, another album called Time for the Rest of Your Life by Strangelove. If you've never heard that album, it's like a trilogy of just darkness. It's a brilliant album. And that's what I was listening to when I was 18. Happy days.
We're quite lucky that you're here now, Gary, aren't we, really? After that
it's because of Made Again. See, that's why you got Made Again on it.
I wouldn't take a track off it at all. It's, as you guys have said, it's my favourite album of their entire career. more than Misplaced Childhood, and I loved the period when Misplaced came out. There's a lot of memories around my life changing and the tour and everything. You know, this, and we will talk about Suits in an episode not very far away. All of this sort of era, meeting Mr. Fairgooston there. It's a really special album to me, really is. So we've talked about the original mix. We'll talk a little bit about the Stephen Wilson remix for the Warner's box set. Have you guys got any thoughts on the remix? Oh,
sorry. Do you know what? The beauty of that album for me personally is the mix of the album, and the Stephen Wilson remix. Yeah, I know, John, that you listen 5.1, but for stereo mix, it's just I don't really want to hear that mix again. No disrespect to Mr. Wilson, but the beauty of Brave is the Dave Meegan mix for me. There's also a little dodgy bit at the beginning of Living with the Big Lights. There's a timing shift or something. The guitar comes in a slightly different time, which really throws me off every time I hear it. I don't know if it's just me or what, but
I've not picked up on it. I'm sure you're right, but it's not enough. Not being
enough to put you off
helps me.
Yeah. I might be completely wrong. Maybe it's just me, but
I'm sure you're right.
But no, it's the original mix is perfect, and that's how I want to remember it and listen to it.
I'm with Gary completely on this. I'm not a great fan of the Steve Wilson remix. I didn't mind the 1998 remix at the time because that one I'd probably listen to more.
What?
Remaster, sorry, okay, remaster. But with the Warner's reissue, with them having the Dave Meegan original mix on, I've gone back to that, and I absolutely just that is how to listen to that album.
Yeah.
So, no. This,
without going.
That is how to listen to this album.
John, you're holding up the original, the original mix of Brave on vinyl, and it's one of my bugbears that I can't get hold of a copy. It should be readily available on vinyl, the original mix, but it's not. So maybe someone at Racket could have a word.
People have said that the CD and even the remaster haven't got that sort of depth of sound. The vinyl of the original mix is stunning.
Just wait for you, just for the record.
I know, but it's the best way to listen to this album.
He gets too excited about this vinyl fetish thing, you know.
Oh, no,
and I agree, John. I'd love to hear. I want to hear it on the original mix on record now, but I just can't get. You can't get it unless you pay silly money, and it should be available, like all the other albums should be available. I know it's money and all that kind of stuff, but I don't see why a classic album like that isn't readily available on vinyl.
Well, it is, but it's readily available on the Stephen Wilson remix.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which I find a bit strange, but there you go.
Gary, shall we talk surround? Or do you want to talk about the stereo remix first?
No, I was going to say when you get Mr. Wilson in, unless it's an album from the 60s or 70s that maybe can benefit, you can get something really different out of a modern, putting it through modern tech. As Gary said, with this Dave Meegan mix, original mix, he's so meticulous. What can you add to it, or how can you improve on it? However, you get Mr. Wilson in to do your 5.1, and that's, other than being an incredible artist himself, it's the 5.1 mixes that is his expertise, and I've been listening to it. It's amazing.
It is. It's for all the stereo mix doesn't do it for you. There's things in the 5.1. He uncovers things that were hidden in the depths of the mix. I've actually been through track by track and made some notes, but just the way he sets it up, bridge starts with the solo piano in the front two speakers and H's vocal in the center speaker and very little else. And then as it becomes Big Lie, it then goes into the rear speakers and surrounds you. You've got sort of Ian's drum fills. They go right round the corner speakers around you. It's quite a simple idea, but when you're listening to one of your favorite pieces of music and you're right in the middle of it, that's 5.1 for me. That's when it's at its best. Runaway you've got all Kelly's keyboards in the front speakers and Rothers is in the back speakers. It's just these little little things really. But yeah, there's a lot of Ian around the drum kit that's wrapped around your head. As much as I don't favour the stereo remix, I think the 5.1 mix brings something else. Is it better than the original? Not saying that, but there's enough there to sort of warrant digging it out and getting yourself in the middle of it, isn't there, Gary?
Yeah, just what you were saying about Mad and that section, John. There was this kind of call and response and shouts and chants, and they were coming out of every corner at you, kind of back and forward like a conversation.
Yeah,
it was great.
H's vocal in Mad, different words,
that's
kind
right,
of not around the speakers.
Yeah,
it's
even
really
just a word broken down to that little section as small as that. Yeah,
there's more. Is it me or are there more effects? There's more people shouting and laughing in that section.
I'm guessing they're just buried in the mix somewhere that you can't pick up on it as separate as they have it there.
Yeah,
you're selling it to me actually.
Hard as Love.
Seriously, yeah.
Hard as Love has got Rothers playing 3 different parts in 3 different speakers.
That's right.
Jeez.
That's right.
It's just brilliant.
Gary, there's the slide guitar on its own in one of the rare speakers, and you can hear the strings kind of rattling with the slide.
Yeah.
That isn't even kind of what you would hear from
normally.
They're not notes; they're just the kind of slide there. It's amazing.
And I think Hard as Love, particularly on the remix, the 5.1 is a lot clearer. The stereo, there's a lot going on in the Stephen Wilson remix, but in the 5.1, you can hear that separation.
I think on that song as well, something that Gary was saying earlier about the Nirvana influence. Those guitars, the really, really like distorted, a little like Monster by REM and that sort of vibe. It's like I thought my speakers were crackling or something because they're just isolated, and they're really overdriven.
I think the best mix of the lot is Hollow Man. Because it starts with just the piano in the front 2 speakers and H in the center with his vocal. And as the strings and keys fade up, they're all in the rear speakers. It's just...
I've got to admit, when I played some tracks from it on the radio show, I played the Stephen Wilson remix of Hollow Man because I do prefer that, I must admit. Just because it's clearer. It's like there's stuff there that's kind of lifted. Yeah, he's done that. Yeah,
the vocal in the vocal in the center speaker is absolutely beautiful, isolated, but you've got it in reverb behind you. There's a ghostly kind of not an echo, but just it's like a gated reverb thing where it's kind of ambient behind you. It's epic, and that or not a lot of the quieter tracks that do this. He does the same effect for the vocal.
Some of my favourite 5.1s are the early Elton John albums because there's that. Not lots of instrumentation on it, so you can separate things really easily, and that's a good example of it. Lap of Luxury, it's got some real space in the intro, the mix, and then there's some Rothers riffs that I've never really heard before in the chorus. And H is when he's doing the "Oh Daddy" thing, it just seems it's just brought up in the mix. And I'm sure I heard a theremin on the end of that I've never heard before, but there you go.
Do you, John, do what I was doing, to like walk around the speakers and put your ear to each one and stuff?
Yeah. For these sad notes, I do, yeah.
Don't ask what he does for the vinyl. Just don't ask.
Paper Lies.
Well, this blew me away because there was parts all over the place that I didn't know existed.
Organ parts, really high in the mix.
Yeah, never heard them. And even just a guitar that goes like boom, boom, just a couple of notes just to accent and lift it out. Again, it was a bit bombastic.
To do the thing with H's vocal bouncing from speaker to speaker again on Paper Lies, and then Brave in Surround. It's just that drone right around your head. It's just
that's what I think.
That's the one, isn't it? Yeah, because it's just immersive. You're in the middle of it all, and I turned the lights off and did all as instructed. For that.
You got naked?
No, I've got no pants on now. But
hey, this is the 5.1 review, not the vinyl.
I've just put mesmerising for Brave because it's stunning. And Great Escape.
Sorry, on the documentary they've got the sleigh bell on a stick. It's got tops and stuff. That's in one corner. You just hear this poof in one corner. not something I've thought about much, but
yeah, Great Escape that goes back to the sort of front two speakers, and then when the drums kick in, it opens up to the back again. And again, Made Again starts like that. It's just the front two speakers and the center speaker for the vocal, and then from All Because You Made Me See, then everything opens up in the back as well. I can't recommend it highly enough, despite the fact we don't like the Stephen Wilson remix. There's things in there that never
it's
heard.
not. I think just for me, it was something that it didn't need the remix.
Having said all that, though, the 5.1, do you recommend it, Gary? Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, you've definitely. I'm going to get on Amazon and see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, all I ever listen to on this is the Floyd and Marillion. By the way, I don't have an extensive collection of 5.1. I have the system more for movies,
Yeah.
Well, funny if my favourite, I don't want to mention it. Well, I mentioned another band. My favourite band, Super Furry Animals. They were the first band to release at the same time a 5.1 mix of their album Rings Around the World in 2001. And yeah, I've not listened to that, so it'd be lovely to get a system and give that a spin as well. I imagine the technology was a bit more basic back then.
My system's like a 2001 system, man.
Oh, is it?
It can't handle much, but luckily these aren't this. They're not this like they're not all 7.1 Atmos and all of the rest of it. So.
Not Atmos. Yeah. I mean, you do know Atmos folds down to 5.1, though, Gary, don't you?
That's probably what's happening.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So yes, that's a big thumbs up from the 2 5.1 listeners on this.
I've been waiting because you need a buddy who's into the 5.1.
Hey, we'll get more of us in, Gary. Get some friends in. We'll overthrow them. The stereo boys.
I feel an insurrection coming on here.
And I'm being swayed as well.
Oh,
Craig, I'm sorry.
I'm man the barricades.
But just the way you described the Brave album on surround sound, just like it. So I've got to hear it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the title track alone, you're just in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just Brave itself is just stunning.
So the rest of the Blu-ray content. This is got the videos, the 3 videos for the single. They purposefully did not put Brave the film on.
Why?
I just can't fathom, It would have been nice to have had the other documentary on, even though it was pertaining to Brave the film, but it was pertaining to a lot. So it would have been nice to have the For the Record, if the documentary was on the DVD. It would have been nice to have that. No, For the Record. You can't calm it. Your slot's not yet. It's nerdy. Soon, calm. Easy, Tiger. The only thing they haven't done with this, and it's what we're talking about with some of the other ones, with this being one of the early ones, they haven't done as much as they've done with the later Blu-rays.
They haven't packed it as Blu-ray.
No, it's a shame that they didn't do the demos and things from the 1998 remaster. So you're stuck with the documentary, which is good, but it's one of the early ones where you've got them sitting in the control room of Racket and talking, which is a nice thing with Dave Meegan. So it's not the Talking Heads kind of documentaries that of the later Warner sets, but it's an interesting documentary.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's going through the multi-tracks. I do as someone who does a bit of recording. Him going through the multi-tracks and talking about what's that? Like, can you hear the ghosts and stuff like that? That's really interesting.
I think the band. I mean, they made a decision to put both mixes in the box, and that's why you don't get the bonus things from the '98 reissue. But the second disc on this '98 reissue, I can play from start to finish. It's it's all really interesting.
So would it be nice if they just put it on the Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Like they have with some of the other ones.
Yeah, because before today, I thought I'll better go and have a look at the Blu-ray and listen to the extra tracks. So I was like, there's nothing on there.
Well, you've got Spiral Remake.
Yeah, that's it. One track
with the 8 minutes of water sounds after it.
But that was it.
Yeah, and then the live gig.
It's French, isn't it? Is this what they used? Is it a different night for Made Again? Is it the same night for Made Again?
It's the same night, I think. Same night. It's the Made Again gig.
So it's essentially disc 3 is the same as disc 1 from Made Again.
Yes, but it's remixed. Remixed.
Yeah.
It sounds, because this used to be my go-to live. Sorry, I'm holding up Made Again. This used to be my go-to live Brave, but now the Mike Hunter mix of the Paris gig is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's a fairly standard of the time set list, isn't it? With all
Didn't
of
alter the
Brave.
set list much on the first two legs. It was only when they sort of went to like Poland later on that they started to play older songs before the main album.
Yeah, but there seems to be more songs on what is disc 4. There's more. There's a longer set than what we actually got in the UK at the time. So you've got Cover My Eyes, which we got, Slange.
Yeah.
No One Can. Did we get that? I can't remember that in the set. Sympathy, I can't remember being in the set.
No.
Easter, Garden Party, Waiting to Happen, Hooks in You, and The Space.
Yeah, it's those No One Can and Sympathy. I just had a little look at the old set list from the one I went to, and they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't part of the UK. So I remember Cover My Eyes and Slange and that, and possibly Waiting to Happen that in the UK thing, but it's all back in the mists of time.
But as you say, the documentary's good.
Yeah,
it's a nice addition to the remix collection as a set.
Yeah. Oh, it's same with all these Warners. They are must-haves.
Yeah.
As a fan, really, it's crazy not to.
And
if you haven't got a Blu-ray
cover's
player, just buy
beautiful.
one. What's that, Gary?
The cover's incredible.
See,
You not like it in the blue?
I'm old school. I like the brown.
Look at it's got the lacquer on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Got the
it's
spot
really...
varnish. It's called
Spot varnish. I heard it off Kennedy last week.
Yeah.
I think
Kennedy was talking about the spot varnish the other week.
I was talking.
All right, then.
the blue works better with that book, I think, than the brown would have done.
Okay.
Definitely.
But I think it's better than the version that they used for Brave the movie with where they've got the colours on the thing. Yeah.
And that's on the streaming service. I mean, I still use streaming services, but that's what they've got for the original Brave. Is the funny enough
blue
is
now.
And they've got the Brave movie
Right.
cover for the original Brave. They haven't got the brown cover, but it's just a bugbear. But there you go.
Curious, so Gary, you want it as you remember it.
Yeah, totally. But yeah.
Well, John, do you think it's time? We've held you back. We've held you back long
All
enough.
this time.
Held you back long
Favorite
enough.
slot.
It's your favourite slot, just for the record. Now, this time, you've got some brothers in arms with you for your
Gary,
vinyl.
what have you got?
A brother in arms.
Sorry,
What have you got, Gary? What have you got vinyl wise?
I've got a terrible story. I bought Brave on vinyl, and in my stupidity, I took it back to the shop.
What?
I know. Well, I had it on CD, and for some, it must have been money. I was at college. Maybe I wasn't playing record. I didn't have a record player. I took it back to the shop and changed it for another CD of something else. I know it's terrible.
Wow.
I regret it. It's one of the regrets of my life.
It goes for about 100 quid now, the original.
I know. And that's
Yeah, I've got not exactly a similar story. I gave David my original copy of Brave.
Wow.
Because I don't do vinyls. I gave John there. I gave you my old Fugazis, didn't I? And some of the old vinyl.
Dobby's got your original Brave.
He's got my original Brave. I gave him that.
It's as you say, we do stupid things when we're young, don't we?
Yeah. So, as I've said earlier in the pod, either the original pressing or the 2013, is it?
Yes, 2013.
2013 vinyl reissue of the Mega Mix is my preferred way of listening to this album, full stop. It sounds wonderful. Having said that,
You're going to get your big box out.
Warner's box looks beautiful. It's got your spot varnish there again, Gary. Look.
Loving it. Beautiful and 12-inch, yeah.
More smudge for Mikey.
She said, yeah. It's got we kind of moving into the second phase of the boxes. So all the sleeves, well, they look kind of similar. This is the main album with two two pictures of the girl without the Anne Frank writing on the front, actually. Live in Paris has a slightly different sleeve.
Which is nice.
Which is nice. It's kind of a sketch. Well, in fact, it's not. It's the curtain with the sleeve projected onto it. But then it's got the Anne Frank writing in front of it again. I have to say, it's a really quiet pressing. So I think they've done it for the dynamics. But I've had to send one copy back to Amazon because it's so quiet that the slightest pop or crackle is really audible. Did get another copy back that's much better, which is this one I've got in my hand. But it's a fairly hefty set. It's a 5 LP set with the main album across 2 discs, and then the Paris gig across the other 3. I think you can pick it up reasonably still. I might be wrong. Craig's usually.
I think there's still some copies available. I don't think there's a lot around. I think HMV and that still had some of them. Yeah. It's the same with the deluxe. There's still limited stocks around. I know Lucy had been talking about getting a repressing of some of the I think Fade of Sunlight and Brave.
I'd love as I said before, I'd take my money if there's a repressing of the original.
I bought that, Gary, about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It cost me 50 quid.
John, is that original just a 2-side vinyl, is it?
It's not the original, but it's a 2-disc, yeah.
Oh, it's 2-disc. Was it always pressed onto 2-disc originally when it came out?
Always on 2-disc, yeah.
I was going to say it's so long, yeah. And with a double spiral, yeah.
That's it. And side 4 is apparently the spiral, but it looks like the spiral. I've never got it to play the spiral remake, so maybe I've got a hooky copy. I don't know.
Hooky copy.
Not easy for me to say. A hooky copy. So, to tie all this up, shall we look at some live recordings of it?
Yeah, briefly, yeah. Because we'll discuss these a bit further in depth with our own episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, with this album, there's 2 releases on the Front Row Club, and plus River. So Mike Hunter's River was re-released on Front Row Club as Front Row Club 6. There is a gig from Denmark in May 94, which is Front Row Club 20, which has a slightly extended encore of Cover My Eyes, Slange, Sugar Mice, Easter, Garden Party and Hooks in You. And then there's a gig from 20th of March 94 from Bielefeld in Germany, which it's got the same track list but with uninvited guests as an extra. So there's plenty of recordings from this era. There's also one in the official bootleg box, Volume 2.
And where was that one from?
That's from Warsaw. This is a nice set because it's 15th of June 94. It starts with Cover My Eyes, Slange, Uninvited Guest, Sugar Mice. Then it goes at the Brave. And then after Brave, they play Easter, Warm Wet Circles, That Time of the Night, Garden Party, Kaylee Lavender, Heart of Loathing, Hooks in You.
Cool, that's a long night.
Yeah.
And it sounds great.
It's almost as long as this podcast.
Nothing's as long as this podcast.
We said it was going to be epic.
It is. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one.
It's another one for Mikey.
It is. And then there's the 2 official standalone Brave Live 2002.
Into Pontlitz.
Yeah, recorded at Pontins. I watched this today. This is like watching Brave in a little club.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brilliant at the time, wasn't it? We were there.
Yeah, I think if I remember, I haven't watched it in years, but if I remember right, the way that it's shot, you can see like family members standing by the side of the stage and people's stuff. It's all different. Yeah.
Yeah, the stage is so shallow. You can see H's kids behind Rothers, and then you can see the text at the other side. And also the stage setup, they've got Kelly behind Pete on the left-hand side as you look at the stage, and Ian in the middle, then Rothers kind of over on his own. It's all a bit strange. It's filmed by the Boom Boom Boys, who were famous for their unusual camera angles. There's quite a lot of shots of H full screen, but he's off to the left for some apparent reason. I don't know. Maybe they thought it was arty. I don't know.
Or they were on the sauce at the time.
I don't know. And because of its age, it's not the most high definition. Anything that's dark doesn't look great. But it's really like watching. It's kind of like watching the original show in a small club, because H is doing all the pigtails and the makeup and everything. And I seem to recall, Craig, here's a bit of a nerd fact for you.
Oh, here we go.
They redid Hollow Man as the first song of the acoustic session on the Sunday for the film.
Because they cocked it up.
They redid it on the first one of the acoustic session on the Sunday lunchtime. Is that ringing a bell?
It is now. Actually, I'd completely forgotten about that. Yeah.
There you go.
Hey.
Mezzapedia. Someone will tell me I'm wrong now, won't they? But
Nothing you're right.
I've got my only meeting H randomly anecdote about that time. I was touring with my friends Easy World. They did a gig in Oxford. I look over at the bar. It's Steve Hogarth. I was like, I've got to say hello. He was there to see Steve Finch, who was doing the lights for the Blue Tones, because that's who we were on tour with. And I just went over him like, you don't know me, but I'm a massive fan.
I love you.
I know, it was pretty much like that. And it was like, he looked at me like, really? I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I'll buy you a drink then. And it was just like such a nice meeting, like random meeting. Didn't expect him to be at a Blue Tones gig. And he was talking about, we're going to, in a couple of weeks, we're going to Minehead to do Brave. I think he said, like, we're shitting ourselves because we haven't done it for so long and there's so much to go wrong. But yeah, that's my only time I've ever met H anecdote.
Very good.
I think we've been threatening to do a podcast on the Pontins episode and Brave and stuff like that down the line, and another Kiki Boys reunion, because it was our first big outing together, wasn't it?
Has anybody else listened to this or watched this recently, the Brave 2002?
I have it, but I haven't watched it for many years.
Dig it out. It's a good watch. It is a good watch.
Yeah, I might dig it out.
This is Brave 2013.
Where they threw some money at it.
Slightly higher definition than Brave 2002. This is from Port Zealand in 2013. This is the setup with the ego ramp, isn't it? So
yeah.
Got the full production with Jennifer Rothery doing all the candles and
trying to set H's hairspray on fire and stuff.
Yeah. It's getting accosted again and putting his pigtails in, and but on a much bigger stage with a full production. It looks and sounds amazing.
And we'll cover this in a pod all on its own.
We will.
I watched it with you and Nesta.
Yeah.
Wolves.
I was going to say it was Wolves.
Because I had food poisoning.
The Lighthouse.
I had food poisoning at the gig.
Yeah, because you missed some of that, didn't you? Bless you.
Yeah. Happy days.
Well, don't have flashbacks when you watch it.
What's your
Of the Wolves civic toilets. You go in there. Is Dave Meagan recording sound? Yeah.
What's your favourite? Getting back onto the music, what's your favourite version of Brave live then?
Oof. I think the new, as you were saying, John, the Made Again one, I always thought is not flat. That's not a fair representation. But the new version is like, it's kind of lifted. It's more kind of electric. And that's a terrible way to describe it. And I don't know how else to describe it, but it's just more light. It's more vibrant. And
more of a live sound, doesn't it? It's kind of opened the sound up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I quite like the Brave 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it back in the day. I did quite like the Made Again version. And the Warner's, like the remix or whatever of the remaster. We're something.
Resold.
I'm bad. I'm now bad with me musical pronouns.
Gary, what do you think?
Like you recommended, I haven't gone back and in the box set, in the Warner's box set, listened to the kind of Made Again Redux, sort of call it. So that's my next one to check out.
Yeah.
Because Made Again was my go-to rather than the videos, really.
Although I do love 2002. It's got
I'm going to check it out again.
Yeah, a real energy to it.
It's in my library.
Yeah.
Sadly, I missed that. It wasn't till the next year when I did Butlins. My first weekend.
Pontins was interesting.
Oh, of course. You know. Yeah.
How many therapy sessions did it take for you, John?
Oh, it's the bloody, the beds where the beds just kind of went like that in the middle and not great, but there you go. But hey, have we discussed Brave enough?
It deserves it.
Biggest episodes ever.
I think this is the biggest test for our listeners that they've ever had. This is either absolute genius or total bollocks.
Well, I hope you got the correct guests on to put it in the genius category, but I'm not sure,
I've got the guests are all genius, absolutely. But
we're the bollocks.
We have an ability to talk bollocks, yes, between us.
Yeah.
But look, anything you want to say? Last final words on Brave, Craig.
I love it, and I'll never tire of it. It's one of my favorite go-to albums, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's some of my favorite songs of all time, and it's been like that for 30 years.
You could have said that 2 hours ago, couldn't you? Saved us.
No, could have saved you 2.5 hours ago at least.
Gary F., what's your final thoughts on Brave?
Not only one of the greatest Marillion albums, it's certainly one of the greatest albums of all time, even though it ain't going to sell like Dark Side of the Moon.
No. Cool.
But it's up there for us.
It is.
Gary P.?
It's just a masterpiece. That's it, really. I don't, and people throw that word around a lot, but it genuinely is an absolute masterpiece. That's it. That's all I got to say.
I can't disagree with anything that all three of you said. I'm sure Scott, if he was still here, would be saying the same thing. Thank you very much for listening to us chatter on about this amazing record.
And you've got some staying power to keep with us.
Yeah. Thank you to Marillion for making the record in the first place. Thanks for listening. It's good night from Gary P.
Good night, everybody.
Good night from Gary F.
And where did the last 30 years go?
We blinked.
Good night from Faye Gouston.
Good night, ladies and gents.
And it's good night from me. Take care.
And stay alive. Yay! Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu for all the good stuff.